things you want to do when you are wrapping hands is massage the hands a little bit. Massage them, get them relaxed. The book also will cover what the inspectors are supposed to be looking for, along with some of the rules and guidelines for them when it comes to checking your hand wraps. Here we have the fighter, and then we have the inspector, we have the opponent's cornerman. They're all here to see what we're doing. And as the rules go, the opponent's cornermen are allowed to watch. A lot of times they don't, but in championship bouts or some type of big bouts, they will watch. And as for the gauze and tape, that's all you can use. Gauze and tape only. They're gonna, right now it's 20 yards of gauze and 10 yards of surgeon's adhesive tape. They're gonna eventually change to 30 yards of gauze and 20 yards of adhesive tape. And that will be as much as you can use. That doesn't mean you have to use it all, but it's as much as you'll be using. The gauze, as you just seen, is what is usually pre-made. When we go to the tape, you can put tape on the back of the hand, 1 inch behind the knuckles, and 1.5 inch along the wrist. But none should be on the bottom side of the hand, on the or around the thumb. As you can see by the picture, that's exactly what it should look like when you're finished. The gauze. The reason they put this tape on here is so that the gauze will not be sliding around, and it'll hold, and once it gets started, it's all good. You want to wrap around the knuckles, the wrist, the thumbs, and keep the man's hand spread out as much as possible. This way, when you're finished, his hand won't feel too tight and it swells up and won't go to sleep, and you have to redo the whole thing all over again, which is kind of a pain in the ass. So you want to wrap around the knuckles, wrap around the wrist, keep it firm, but not too tight. And every now and then have them check, especially when you go around the thumbs. Every one of the trainers, they kind of do it a little bit different. This is just a basic way of doing it, but it's the legal way, and everybody has to go legal. That means the gauze and tape are, everything's to a T. There's no varying from the 1 inch behind the knuckle on the tape, so much gauze you can use, and how you're supposed to put it on. Like I said, every trainer does it just a little bit different, but the final product is the same. And again, always check, make sure that he spreads his hand, keep his hand spread. It's nothing worse than having to finish up a wrap and him start loosening it up and hitting the mitts and stuff. All of a sudden his hand's falling asleep, it's too tight for him. Again, like I said, it's a pain in the ass to have to do it all over again, because then you have to get the cornerman back over, the inspector back over. And again, you have the inspector check the gauze again, the little pads you already pre-made. Have him check it out, have the opponent's cornerman check it out prior to putting it on. Make sure it's covered in the knuckle. And you start putting your second 10-yard roll on. Some people want to use a lot of gauze on them knuckles if you got bad knuckles. It's okay, but to me it's kind of crazy, because then you might as well put some larger ounce gloves on, because it does take away from the actual punch itself. And I also want to let you know that the fighters are all a little bit different. Some will sit there with earphones on and listen to music. Some like to eyeball the area and see what people are doing, because there's usually a lot of people in these dressing rooms. And the thing about that is, there's distractions. So that's why it's good to have the extra set of eyes there to watch, because what ends up happening is the inspector might look away or something. He might see something else going. Might have to walk away for a minute, but you got the other cornerman there watching. Especially with the state as it is now, we really don't have a lot of inspectors, so we're kind of relying on you guys to be honest and fair about everything. And again, you see he just checked his hands again, make sure they're not too tight, especially when you go around the thumbs. And notice how you kind of keep it as evenly distributed as possible, firm yet not tight. Go around the wrist, across the back of the hand a few times. Make sure that it's nice and neat and comfortable. This is the way it should look when you're done with the hand wrap itself. Just a gauze, surgical gauze. Nice and neat, cleared up. Then you have the tape you put between the fingers. The tape, 1-inch tape, surgical adhesive tape, clean surgical adhesive tape is the best stuff to use. It's clean, it's strong. Some people don't like it because it's hard to tear. Well, get a damn pair of scissors in. Main thing is you've got that tape 1 inch behind the knuckles. That's the regulation, 1 inch behind the knuckles. A good trainer will know that without even having to measure it. He can just look, boom, he's got it. And again, you want to make it firm but not tight. So when you're going around the thumbs, when you're going around the wrist, make sure they check every now and then. Then you've got the tape that goes between the knuckles. You pinch it, put it between the knuckles in that joint. It's okay. Some trainers like to roll it up, and they roll it up thick. This demonstration here is what it should look like when you're finished. It's okay if you roll it. Some roll a lot of it, as long as it's not touching the knuckles at all. It has to be inside that joint. And it also is there for to help hold that gauze in place. So again, you trainers, make sure you get it inside that joint. None of it should be touching the knuckles at all. Not that it really means anything, it's just part of the rules. And we try and go by the rules to a T. No favoritism at all. The thing about it is, you also have, like say, when you have the other cornermen's, or other corners, your opponent's cornerman there, if they see something wrong, they can make you fix it. You've got to go by the rules. And they do this. You do the same for them when you're checking their wraps out. If you see something wrong, say it's not 2-inch wrap or it's not 1-inch tape, then they got to get the 1-inch tape. 1-inch surgical adhesive tape. Notice how it's firm but not tight. And again, I'll have him check periodically, especially when you go around that thumb, to make sure it's not too tight. And again, every trainer does it just a little. Some like to rip it off, have ripped pieces, and they just keep cutting them and ripping them, cutting them and ripping them. The strips is what they like to use. This is the quickest way. It's just as strong. Some even like to cut the bottom of the palm out and tuck it in and wrap it in. Notice how the inspector, they're checking the bottom palm, make sure there's nothing in there because they might have been distracted. Something could have been put in there. They're checking the knuckles, making sure nothing hard is in there. Should just be skin and gauze only. They're between skin, gauze, and glove when you start putting them on. They also check the wrist. Now they're marking it. They mark the back side and the top side. They mark it and initial it. This way, if there's any type of manipulation in them prior to putting the gloves on, they'll know it. Because what they'll do is before they put the gloves on, they'll check the markings, they'll check that bottom of the hand wrap, the knuckles, and the wrist again before they put the gloves on. Plus they check the gloves as well. It's what they have to do, inspectors for the California State Athletic Commission. And again, you have the opponent's cornerman there. He should be looking at it as well, checking it out. You also check the gloves. You check the gloves for that little strip in there between the thumb and the forefinger. Make sure that's intact. But normally you do all this before as soon as you get the gloves, you check the gloves out and make sure you got good tape. So again, my name is Joe Guevara. Thank you for listening.